so I can see the two halves of the foot, because that way you can see how symmetrical your foot is. Another thing is, so I want to know where the center of the dorsal wall is, at least from here, so I'm going to draw a little line right there so that when I put the foot down, I can draw a line up the center of my dorsal wall and measure my dorsal wall. Okay, let's see here. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, so here's my line right here. Okay, and I would want to follow the horn tubule up. Well, it's right next to that black line there, that black stripe, right to there. And then, usually with my sewing gauge, I'm going to measure the length of the dorsal wall, which I already measured it, and it's 3.5 inches. Now, in some cases, I will I also want to find the toe quarters, because ideally your hoof capsule should be almost 1/4 of an inch shorter when it comes to the toe quarter, because it should be longest in the very center of the foot, and then they gradually get shorter till they get to about 2.25 inches at the heel for the real foot. Okay, so another thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to go over here, try and go straight over here, and then try, it's not easy. I'm behind, but now I'm coming over here, and I'm going to try and go straight down here to find out maybe about where my true apex is, which, see, it's, you know, that's close. This is not precise. All right, so now I'm going to come over here and raise up the camera to right about there. And I just want to see if my mark is close to where I think the true apex is going to be when all is said and done. Now, in reading this foot, I see that the frog has already come back to about here. It was here at the last trim, and it on its own has moved back. The whole foot has shifted. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to where my line was, which it's right here. How about that? I mean, you don't get no perfecter than that. Okay, so you got your protractor. You want to draw a line here and a line here, because you want to put these lines on the center line that you drew down. Okay, and then you want to try and keep that. A lot of times you make it a little bit lopsided. You'll find that once you take pictures and stuff, but you're trying to line these lines up with that line there. And I'm going to draw a line across here. Oh my goodness, look there how much my... See now, I don't know if that's straight or not. Wait a minute. I'll look at... Anyway, it looks crooked up here. I don't know why. Just a minute. It might have been a little... Well, I don't think it's too crooked. Maybe just a hair right there. Okay, so... Next thing I want to do, I want to look at my frog. I'm going to put a dot here, and I'm going to, now I would also investigate to find the true apex of my frog. Just because I put that line there doesn't mean I'm going to take my frog back to there, necessarily. I will know when I trim into this part here. Okay, so your frog, this part here shows you where your frog should be if it's trimmed relatively right. So I'm gonna just draw, see how it comes right back here to the collateral groove. Okay, now if my frog was over here, I would draw a line. Hey, quit. I would draw a line down like this, And if there's any frog over here pushing in the bar or anything like that, I would trim it off. Okay, so I keep wanting to do a bar map. Okay, so I see there that my frog comes right to my collateral groove. That's right where I want it. Now I'm going to map my bars, and to do that, I come over to the opposite side here, right there, and I come up against the heel right here, and I draw a line like this, like that. Okay, right to the into the heel here. Now I'm going to come over this side. I'm going to put my protractor right here on the dot. I'm going to come up against my heel if I have heel. You may not have heel. And I'm going to draw a line right here. Now, something I've been noticing, now I'm a little off there. See that? But not too bad. Okay, now I'm going to let him put his foot down. Because he's wanting to, you know, they get tired of standing. It's like I get tired of bending over. Yeah. Oh, are the fly biting you? Here, I'll spray you. Here, hold on. Gotta put this over the camera so I can spray the horse. Nasty biters. Nasty biting, dirty, rotten things. I hate them. Yeah, poor boy. Okay. There we go. All right. Now next we're going to measure the heels. Okay, give me a foot. Okay, so next we're going to measure the heels. And what we're going to do is we're going to take on the heel there, we're going to draw a line straight down and then into the bulb right here, right up against the hairline. Right there. Here, let's put this back a little further. See that? Okay, we're going to do that on both heels. Hairline is right here. Okay, now we're going to get our handy dandy hoof gauge sewing gauge. Where did I do with it? Just a minute. Because I want to know exactly how long those heels are. I've already measured them. They're 2 1/4 inches. Because on him, I'm wanting his heels high because I want the back of his foot up so he is not tempted to roll his heels in. It's trimming out the heels is what contracts and rolls heels in because their foot still wants to stand up here, and so then the foot pulls up and it'll take the sidewall and it'll pull it around behind. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to put this, like you just put this in here till you hit the hair, right there. And then I'm going to roll it. I'm going to put my thumb there. I'm going to roll it. And this is telling, my goodness, this is telling me that I'm almost at 2 1/2 inches there. Now, I'm going to put this here again, where you hit the hair, see? Right there. And then I'm going to roll it up here. And this tells me that I've got 2 1/2 inch heels, which doesn't bother me a bit. Because I've also got a 3 1/2 inch dorsal wall. And technically the heels are about 2/3 the length of the dorsal wall on a correct foot. Yeah, the hairline is that high. So his foot is not totally correct yet because the bulbs have to raise up and widen out, and the frog has to come up and behind and in back of the foot. Because just the exact opposite happens when the heels are worn out or trimmed out. That is, the heels are worn down, the back of the capsule comes down, pulls the foot down that wants to be set up in the air further. And so because the foot is made out of cartilage and fat and all this memory materials, it wants to come back up in the air, so it pulls back up in the air, and then it pulls the heels around and curls them in towards the frog. And eventually you can trim the whole heel buttress out and still look like you have heels because you have a false frog. Okay, so now what I find interesting here, I've got 2.5-inch heels almost, and my line for my bar comes right into where, let's see if we met where that line comes in. So if I put this here, comes right at 2 inches. My line, nothing is a constant. I'm not saying this is a constant, but I find it very interesting. A lot of times this happens. I used to only let my heels go to 2 inches, but now I let them get longer because I want the back of the foot to uncurl. It has to do with structural mechanics. Okay, so right there where I drew the line for my bar is where my heel would come if it was 2 inches. Let's try this one here. Yep. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, right here is 2 inches. Right to where my line is. Let me measure this again. Okay, remember you come in here right to where the hair is and you come over. Right there is 2 inches. Right there. And you see, that's pretty interesting. Again, there is no constant on these feet. Everything is subject to change. Everything. There is no one thing you can go by to trim a perfect foot and make it easy for you. You have to learn the anatomy. You have to understand the structure. You have to understand how these feet deform. When you trim the heels down or the horse wears the heels down. That we can mimic deforming a foot that a horse can do on his own out in the wild is no miracle. Alrighty, now let's let his foot down for a minute. Oh yeah, rest that back foot. There you go. Now we're going to do the toe. We're going to get a general idea of where our toe. We know our frog is moved back. We know that this toe ultimately is going to move back and stand all the horn tubules up straighter. So what we do to take a toe back, keep moving, just gotta keep moving over. Keep on moving. Alright, so here's where the apex was before. Right there to the white line. The white line is right here. And from where the foot was before, it's moved quite a bit. Here's where the apex was. See, you can see the outline. It is exactly 1.5 inches to the white line. And then 2 to 2.5 beyond that with the wall. Because he's got nice thick hoof walls. And the better your heels are, the better your sole get, the better, more placement, everything going into a place. You get more sole, you get better frog, you get better hoof wall quality, you name it. Okay, so, but now I know that really his true apex is going to grind up about here. I know I have 3.5 inches. I know he's got quite a sole ridge here. I know I can take at least 1/4 of an inch down. If I take all of this 1/4 of an inch down, it's going to bring that white line back this way. Okay, so that's where his toe was before, and this is where his true apex was, right here. But now I can see just from the frog itself that it's moved back to here, even if I hadn't put that line there. Okay, so we're going to measure up here to 1.5 inches, which is right here. Okay, so now we need our protractor. Is this thing still recording? Yes, it is. Okay, well, I got 4 more feet. If I screw up, I can still do them. All right. I'm doing this to try and help people. Again, I've been restoring this foot for a long time, so there's a lot of things this foot has that your foot might not have if your foot has had the heels trimmed out, including the amount of sole I get on this horse. Okay, and look, see, hard as a rock. Hard, nice, but the frog is flexible. See that? But sole, you can't even press that in. Hardly no give at all. That's good. Okay, so I'm gonna put this up here, and that's 2 inches right there. Now, let's see, what do I got here? That's 4. Okay, this is 1.5 inches right here. So I want to come right here, and of course there's my 1.5 inches. That's where I think my toe will wind up. Again, what am I doing? I'm lining this line up here with that line there and line in the center of the toe so I can get a straight line. That's the object of this. Okay, now I'm also gonna line. Now your toe quarter is from here to here, around the deal here. Your toe is in the center. Your toe quarter goes from here to where the quarter is. Where it starts to really turn, right there. So, I think that's interesting. I'm just going to make some marks. I want to see where that is on the outside of the foot. It's been a while since I did that. Okay. Okay, let's mark this too. So well, yeah, that's whatever that is. But anyway. Okay, so anyway, there's your general mapping right there. Okay. Okay. So that was 10. Okay. I just wanted to show you. Now, remember. Well, first. Okay, so I just wanted to show you. Now, remember, when I was mapping, I decided. Well, first I got to tell you something about this foot. Now, it may look kind of long and square, but that's because the quarters are notched. They were notched originally. Now they're just beveled, and you can see hoof wall is grown beyond it. But I had notches in them, so if your wall is this wide and then you notch it, it's going to make the toe look kind of maybe squarish or different. Okay, so I drew a line from here to here across where my toe should wind up. Not my toe, my white line should be about there when all is said and done. Around there. I'm not going to force it into a specific spot because you want to read the fit too as you go. Again, this is not cookie cutter. This is not precise. This is to get you in the ballpark area of where things are. Anyway, I just thought, well, I'll draw a line across that toe like that. And I thought, I want to see where those lines wind up over here. And I just thought it was interesting. Let me get you over here. Okay. Let's see. You can see, let's see if I can get you over there, that I got one here and one over there. And I measured it from here to here. And of course, I've got a little bevel there, but I've got 3.5 inch dorsal wall. And by the time it gets to here, it's 3 inches, which I thought was interesting. But again, that wall is kind of beveled, so it's probably more like 3 1/4. Because, as I said, why do we need to kind of measure that, know that, understand that, try and figure out how to trim this toe quarter so that it is shaped like the foot. Okay, and, oh, where am I at now? Doo-doo-doo-doo. I have misplaced my measuring tools. Okay, here we go. Okay, the handy dandy hoof gauge. Buy it at Walmart in the sewing section. Okay, so the longest part of your wall should be in the center of the dorsal wall. And then it gradually gets shorter as it comes over here. So when you get over here to the toe quarter, should be at least a ½ an inch shorter usually. So, because see, that's the longest right in the center. And look. Okay, let me correct that. A 1/4 of an inch. You know, not a ½ an inch shorter, a 1/4 of an inch. Okay, if it's 3½ here, it should be 3¼ over here. Not a whole ½ an inch. Okay, sorry about that. How the foot gets shorter as it goes back towards the heel. So the length of the horn tubule should recede, and the growth rings should follow the shape of the inner foot. Okay. It's very important. It took me a long time to figure out how to trim those toe quarters so that they are shaped like the foot. Because if you let them get a little long and high, it's going to make the foot round or square, and plus it's going to put pressure on that wall, jamming it up into the coronary band. Because here's the deal. Now, probably don't on this foot because as you see here, right here, that these I didn't trim at the time, right? The toe quarters. And so these were left high. And see how the wall jammed up there? You can see these growth rings, they come down like this, are pretty good. But then right here, you can see that it kind of goes up. And then if you look right at here, you'll see that instead of going slightly down, it jams up a little bit, because what happens is you leave that long and then the horse will level it out by pushing the wall up to try and level his foot out. And so then the coronary band will be also pushed up. And so on this foot, you see that the coronary band is pushed up when it should be just slightly lower, slightly lower. Okay. I don't know if I have a foot with a slightly lower one. I probably do up here to show you. Just a second here. Maybe that foot. Well, kinda. This foot that the horse never got trimmed. Okay? Now they can still, that area, it gets worn the least. This area of the toe quarter gets worn the least. They go forward, they roll over, but this isn't worn as much. And so let me see here. Well, even here, this one you can see goes down slightly, and this one is jammed up more on this side. But this was a self-trimming horse. We can do better than self-trim if we know what the true anatomy is. Okay, so now we're going to start the trim. And I could just come in there and just rasp the wall flat or do whatever. But kind of what I do like to do is I like to see how much sole ridge I have that is attached to the toe. And I kind of like to see how much exfoliatable sole I have. And so I'm just going to clean up the sole a little bit. And so we're going to start there. Okay, give it up. Okay, so, okay, get back a little. Okay, now what happens is, there really is a convex sole ridge under here. But since the sole is attached to the wall and the wall grows down, the very edge of the sole attaches to the wall and pulls out with it, and so it makes it look concave when it is really convex. So what I'm going to do is I just want to come up here and just right up to the very edge. You see there? Now, you're going to see a little red here because his toes got a little long. It's been a while since he's been trimmed, 5 weeks, something like that. And now you can really see the sole ridge here. that has been pulled out as the wall has grown. Because again, I got a 3.5, I'm remembering here, I have a 3.5-inch dorsal wall, and the sole is attached right to the edge of the wall right here, and I've got a little ridge I can see going up there. There's more sole there than that because the bowl convex part of my sole is full because he's got good heels coming in, so he has good sole. Okay, I'm just gonna let his foot down for a second. Hey, good boy. He's a very good boy. Yeah. Okay. Now you're going to have to give it to me again. Come on. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to come up here. I'm right up against the wall. See, I could come up in here and take even off some wall. Nice thing about it is, though, it's been really wet here. You know, so I'm able to do that. But okay, so you can see his white line here. There's a little red in it because his toe is long. It's stretched forward. And so, you know, there's a little pressure on the toe. And what I want to do, I want to come up in here. I want to come right up in against the wall and clean out that white line. See there?
Okay, now I need to tell you that I can get a clean white line and you may not be able to. So that doesn't mean that you just keep taking it down, taking it down, taking it down till you can get a white line. You know, this trim is based on a foot that has been in the restoration process for a while. And so the white line, clean white line is dependent upon tight white line, which is a tight wall sole connection, and that all the horn tubules are in the correct space and stuff like that. Because the wall grows down, has to go down to a specific spot, connect to the sole, where it's injected with this yellow glue you see here in the white quote yellow line and stuff. So don't think that you may necessarily get a clean white line, but you can still clean up around the edge of the wall. And as you go, you will also learn how much you can take and how much you can't. So again, this is not cookie cutter. Just because I can do this to this particular foot doesn't mean you might do the exact same to another foot. But all the general principles do apply as far as cleaning up, trim, especially after you start to really get some sole. You do need to learn how to manage and trim the sole and the toe for sure. So you can see that sole ridge, but it looks concave, but there's a sole ridge underneath it.
I'm trying to keep it low, so I'm just taking a little slice, see? Just thin slices up against the wall. There we go. Try and keep it level. Just taking a thin slice. Here. Hard to get in there. See how nice sole I got? It's wanting to exfoliate there. Okay, so now I want the toe, I want to deal with this extra chunk of sole in the toe, and I want to take out down at least 1/4 of an inch. Now see, the toe is too long. That's why you're seeing the blood that has leached down from the stretched toe, or from the long toe and the leverage on the toe. Not being trimmed well. Now I'm just taking this down flat. Yeah, another way you can tell my toe is getting long, forward. See the forward grown toe. See this whole toe and wall will come back further. and stand up straighter. The whole foot will shift. And so, here, we're going to lay him down. And the whole foot shifts. Everything moves. The whole inner foot is moving back into its correct anatomically position because we're taking off enough here and there and leaving enough in other places that the inner foot can move a little bit and then start growing the hoof capsule from a different spot. Okay, give it here again. Okay, so again, I'm coming right up into that wall there. Now, of course, if your feet are hard and dry, good luck. Okay, so I don't want a ridge. Now you see the sole ridge. What you saw before was the excess of the sole ridge that had been pulled with the ever-growing wall forward. You see how the sole gets pulled with the wall as it grows? And so,
And did you notice how it looked like there was blood in the white line? That was from up above. Now, and it leaches down. That's from the lamina being stretched and pressure on the toe, and then it tears that lamina a little bit, it bleeds, and then it leaches down into the bottom of the white line. Gravity pulls it down. And so what'll happen is you may run into something that, well, then you take another rasp swipe or just another little trim of the knife and it's completely trimmed out. See there?
Quite take off that much. Wait a minute. It's hard to go that direction. I don't want there to be a sharp ridge here. Just a minute here. Okay, I'm going to take this toe pillar down here.
Now, what you find is to shape these feet, you have to learn how to take these toe quarters down, because if you leave them high, the higher they are, the rounder it makes the sides of the toe. So you have to learn how to take the toe quarters down so that you can find the true shape of your toe quarter and of the toe, which is never round and never square. You got to remember that. Okay. And so you're reading the shape as you take that down, and you're also reading the width of your sole ridge here, which you can see the width of the sole ridge. Okay. So there's lots of things you're using for that, to shape your toe quarters. For example, the length. Like I said, the center of the dorsal wall, by the time you get over to about here, it should be 1/4 of an inch shorter. At least. And then you're going to read your growth rings too. If they look like they're rising or you look like you're getting a little flare, you're leaving it too long or too high.
Now, if you were to look at the foot, you'd think it was flat. But the truth is, there's a big fat sole ridge here. And then the bowl of the sole, the concave part of the coffin bone and sole is full of sole. So, here. I want to come clear up into that wall. All right. Now you see the shape of the foot there. I'm looking at the shape because I know it's not supposed to be round. So now I've got a pretty oval shaped sole there. Yeah, you and me both, buddy. Now, of course, I have misplaced my nippers because I would just nip off that toe wall there. Trying to remember what I did with that, with my nippers. Let's see here. Okay, well, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna end this video here and go find my nippers. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'll just rasp it. Maybe I'll just rasp that toe off. That's a lot to rasp. I've got, let's see here. Okay, let's see how much wall do we have there that we can take down. Come here. Pick it up, babe. Okay, I'd say I've got 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch that I can take down. 1, 2, 3. 3/8 of an inch that I can take down there. So I can do that with a rasp. So I guess I'll just do that. Where is my rasp? Okay, give it here. Would have been easier to nip it off, but I don't feel like going and finding my nippers. Okay, so I'm not going to do this. I want to take this wall down flat. As much as possible, I'm going to leave this rasp flat, but I don't want to hit this heel over here either. Till I get right down. Well, let's see. Let's do this. Hold on. You're going to be amazed at how thick his walls are. Yes, sir. Let's do this. I'm going to mark the sole so that you can tell when I hit the sole. Okay, so the sole is right here. Okay, that's where the sole is. Yeah, it would have been way easier to nip this, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to put my knee up here. Let the rasp do the work. Don't go like this. Oops, and don't do that. Yeah, I said not to do that, didn't I? Okay. Now the whole wall would be that wide if I hadn't taken notches out of the quarters last trim. So I'm still not level quite with the sole yet, but pretty darn close. Okay, there. Hit the sole. See where it came off? See there? Now let's do this part. There we go. Now my wall is level with my sole. And I've got a big, thick, hard sole. So now I'm going to put it down and measure my dorsal wall and see exactly how much we took off there. Are we still recording? Yes, we are. Praise the Lord. Okay. Took off exactly 1/4 of an inch. Exactly. So now he's got a 3 1/4 inch dorsal wall. And see, I could even take down more toe if I want. I could take down almost, I could take down a fourth more of an inch if I wanted to really stand him up. See? So that was great. Okay, let's look at the bottom of the foot again. Now let's remap. Let's remap and see where we're at. Okay, come here. Here we go. Okay, how is it that we just keep moving around? I just don't even know how that happens. Okay, so we're gonna remap. We're gonna draw our line down the center. Here's where we think our true apex is gonna wind up. And I guess now I don't even look like I'm on the center. Okay, should have been over here a little more, but oh well. Okay, and now we're gonna measure from there up to where the white line should be. Now look how much closer the white line is from where we started, because we took down 1/4 of an inch and this whole foot moved back about 1/4 of an inch. And all we were taking off was all the excess sole. So let's do that again. Okay, so right here is, right about there is, now let's, so now if I put a mark here, I'm going to see where it changes. Okay, now see what I'm going to do. Let's see, let's get this way down here and move this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find out where was my mark. Well, it's in the same spot, which is interesting. My mark is in the same exact spot, even though I took that back. That's interesting. Huh. So here is my toe quarter, right in here. And let's see, how long is it now? It's 3 inches. 3 inches to here. And this is about 3 and, let's see, what would that be? 3 1/4. 3 1/4 in the center, 3 inches in the sides of the toe. Okay. Oh, I got a leg that gives up. Okay, so I just wanted to, okay. Okay, so now I thought, well, what do I want to do next? A lot of times I will clean up the frog first, but this time I didn't. Okay, so now I thought, well, what do I want to do next? A lot of times I will clean up the frog first. Wow. So, see that sole under there, where the frog was, right there, it is now back to here. Wow. Let's see where it is exactly. I'm gonna clean that.
Now I want you to know that his feet, it's been raining here and wet for like 2 weeks. So his feet have been wet for 2 weeks, and look how hard they are. You know, look how hard the sole is.
Up on the collateral groove. You know, this horse's feet have been wet for 2 weeks, and they're hard as rock. Because when the foot is correct, moisture is the best thing for it. Now, I want to clean out alongside the frog here. Sorry you can't see that exactly. See, he's got a ton of sole. I'm gonna clear back to here. He's got a lot of sole in the bowl. Again, you see here, that's convex ridge. Then it gets concave here, and that is full of sole. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. So, I don't want him to have super thick soles because then the foot can't move. So I'm going to clean up the foot. Now, of course this is a crappy knife for frogs. So, but while I'm here, quit now, quit. I'm going to take just a little bar off here. I don't want a lump there. So, I want it clean along in those collateral grooves alongside that frog, right there. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at. Let's try this. See, just barely under that, you got clean, fresh frog. See there? Healthy, good, clean, fresh frog. Just peeling it like a thin apple. Okay. Okay, let's rest. You rest, okay? Yeah, you rest. So I'm doing all this standing up. Usually I do it sitting down. But for the video, I'm doing it standing up. Okay. Okay, come on. Sorry. Sorry. Over here. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm just gonna see that? Very thin. I don't know if you can see that. Very thin, just taking off thin layer. Now hold still, not quit. Quit. Okay. See, I just barely took off some and I'm down to clean, fresh, live, good frog. So this is good. Okay, I wonder if I can take out some of this or if I'm gonna have to do it with the... Now there's no central sulcus. People go, hmm? Yeah, it's not supposed to be up here. It's supposed to be back here between the bulbs and in the back of the foot. That's where the frog stay is. But when the foot gets deformed and distorted, then this sulcus here and the frog stay gets shoved up here. And so they called it a central sulcus because they didn't know that it was actually a distortion. Oh, we got a little bit of blood there. I wonder why. Maybe he stepped on a rock or something. I don't know. And so there, I got my frog cleaned up, but I'm going to finish it off. I wish this thing was level. Nice, fresh frog. He might have a little bit of a bruise right there. Okay, let's put it down. Okay, now I'm going to get my respirator on, and I'm going to use my Proxon to clean up the sole.